Our guest on this first segment has been here before. He is the director of the Oxley Nature Center, Eddie Reese. Eddie, good to have you here, old friend.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Before we get into the Oxley Nature Center, you told me something while they were getting set up to tape. Would you tell the folks at home what you and your wife are doing?
Sure. My wife and I, Janet, we bought two very old log structures from Missouri. One of them was a one-room schoolhouse, and they were probably built somewhere in the 1840s, 50s. And we brought them down to our property, and the two of us are putting these things back together and reconfiguring them and making them work. And one of these days, we're going to move into them, live there. It's going to be very nice.
You've got to bring us some pictures.
Oh, I'd love to. It's amazing to work with a log that it's got axe marks in it that somebody worked on this 150 years ago. We counted the rings back from when these things were cut and built, and this one tree goes back to 1647. That's how old these trees are.
Did I hear you right, 1647?
Yeah, 1647.
Holy Toledo.
A lot has happened since then.
Well, keep me posted on that. We're going to have
Sure.
some pictures to show the folks at home. I think it's a wonderful project. I'd like to know more about it. I think, though, we're going to turn our attention for just a moment to the Oxley Nature Center, because lots of folks don't realize, one, that we have it, and two, boy, that place got hit hard in the flood, didn't it?
It did. The Bird Creek, there was flash flooding beforehand, the week before, but then Bird Creek decided to come out of its banks, and it hasn't done that for a long time, and the water came all the way up to 46th Street North, in the parking lot of the Nature Center, the water was about 5 foot deep.
Oh.
Some places it was 10 foot deep around the park, and so with the current behind it, and it actually washed cows in from upstream that we rescued later.
Do you get to keep them?
No, we got them back to their owners best we could. So, but the bad thing that happened was there's a landfill that they built back in the 60s next to the river in the park, and the bank was eaten away by the flood and washed tons and tons of plastic trash that had been buried since the 60s up into the woods.
Emily Spivey, I was going to call for this in just a minute, but Emily Spivey, our director-producer, went out to the Oxley Nature Center and shot some video. Could you kind of walk us through what we're seeing here?
Yes, this is Bird Creek, which borders the Nature Center, and the water from the creek right here came up in this area probably 6 feet deep, and unearthed this buried plastic trash and washed it up into the woods, and it covered probably, well, several acres. I don't know exactly how many, maybe as much as 10 acres, that it finally trash got caught up in the trees and the debris.
I had no idea you guys were hit that hard. Weren't there some pieces that washed up that are kind of antique-ish?
Yeah, well, there's been little cowboys and Indians, barrel of monkeys, little plastic toys. Found a jar of cherries that were still closed. It's amazing. A lot of Wonder Bread sacks,
No
rainbow
kidding.
bread sacks, a lot of that. So if you lived in Tulsa in the 60s, your kitchen waste was buried in this landfill.
It's a good thing there wasn't an old cemetery out there.
That would have been, for Halloween maybe, it would have been all right.
Well, are you utilizing volunteers? Are you not, to help clean it up?
Yeah, when I first saw this mess, I was so discouraged to see this, and I thought we'll never get this cleaned up. But the response from the people in Tulsa and around the area has been amazing. All kinds of groups have come in and helped clean this up, and they've carried out bags and bags and bags of trash, and we're nearing the end of getting it cleaned up.
Mm-hmm. You still need help? You still need folks that'll come out?
Yes, we're almost done, like I said, so we don't have a whole lot more to do, and we'll get the woods back to the way it used to be.
And who knows, you might get your own Wonder Bread sack.
As a memento.
As a memento. What's the real goal of the Oxley Nature Center?
Well, Oxley, it's an urban wilderness. It's a place where you can go and be in the woods and be alone and enjoy the quiet and the solitude and see things you wouldn't think you would see inside city limits. There are deer, and coyotes and bobcats and all kinds of plants, and you don't have to worry about bicycles whizzing by or dogs racing by. It's just it's a quiet place to go to get away from the city. And you know, it's not just people from Tulsa, Owasso, Claremore, Bixby. We even have people from out of state, out of country. About 3% of our visitors are international. And it's a stopover for people who are avid birders. They'll get a layover at the airport and they'll stop in and make a quick trip over and look for a certain bird like a prothonotary warbler or a scissortail. And they want to get those things for their bird list that they can't get anywhere else.
Yeah. It seems to have grown in reputation in just the years. I moved here in the late 70s, was made aware of it, and the family and I went out to see it. Even then, it was one of those things you want to go back again and again.
And again, what's different every season?
Yeah.
You see changes. Winter is a great time to go, and you'll see different things. Even in the summer, you just never know where you're going to come up on. You might see a bird that made a wayward trip and wind up in Tulsa. It's actually maybe a roseate spoonbill, for example, you might see. It'd be rare, but it's possible every once in a while.
How long have you been involved with Oxley?
I started there in 1987 and working in the summers and became a full-time naturalist in 1990, so it's been quite a long time.
You have folks, I'd be curious to know, that come in and say, look, I don't have this type of bird that I can log in. Do you have them here? Do you hear that much?
That's a regular request, to see a bird they haven't seen before, they can't get back home. So it's a great birding destination, and right now butterflies and other pollinators are real big, so we're planting more things for pollinators to attract those, and right now is a great time to see butterflies. Monarchs
really?
are starting to come in.
Well, and one other thing before we go any farther, are we on a flyway here?
Yes.
So we're part of it?
Yeah, and it moves from, you know, the actual river of butterflies that will come through. I call it a river because you look up in the sky and you'll see, you know, thousands and thousands of monarchs all together traveling in a river, you might say. But that moves from year to year, so it's possible they could fly right over or right through wherever you are.
No kidding.
It's an amazing sight to see if you ever get to experience it.
Bet you have a lot of classrooms come through, don't you?
Yeah, we're doing volunteer training right now to teach new volunteers how to take kids out on the trail and lead tours. So in October, we'll have school groups start to come out, and we divide them up into small groups, give them their own naturalist, and they go out in the woods for a couple hours and see what they can see. And it ties into what they're doing in their classrooms.
That leads me to my next question. When a school wants to bring a classroom out, do they call in advance, and then are they able to get a naturalist to go with them?
Right. So you can call, if you want a guided tour, you call us and we'll set you up on a date that works for you and that we have open, you know. And so we will, when the day they come out, we'll have several naturalists. So the groups are quite small. We'll have a staff naturalist and the volunteer naturalist will take the kids out on the trail. So a group may be 5 or 6 or 7 kids, and it's just more, it's better for the guides, better for the kids, you know, than to have a small group.
I know that we have some children here who moved here from places like New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, who have always been inner city kids, who've never seen the things nature has to offer. You must get some of that from time to time.
Well, even kids that grew up in Tulsa or Owasso, some of these kids have never seen a deer track or watch a frog jump in the water or climb a tree, you know, so we offer all that. We want the kids to experience that. Every kid should. John Muir said that everybody needs a place to play in and pray in where nature may heal the body and soul alike, and so that's what this place is for. We need to get those kids out there, and sometimes they're very timid about it and maybe even a little afraid, but by the time they leave, they say this is the greatest day of their life, you know. Yeah. And so it's great to have these kids, because in the future they're going to be people that they're going to determine whether we save these places or not.
We got about 1 minute. If you wouldn't mind, would you go over hours of operation for us so folks know how to?
Yeah, Oxley Nature Center is open 7 days a week. The park is open from 7 to 5. The trails are. You can park outside the gate and hike in until 9 o'clock if you want to in Mohawk Park. That's the closing hours for Mohawk. So the visitor center itself is open from 10 to 4:30 Monday through Saturday, and 12 to 4:30 on Sunday.
And there's quite a bit to see inside the visitor center as well.
Yeah, it's a new museum, opened up, new exhibits, and spend some time in there and then go out on the trail. And there's no entry fee, it's free.
Which makes it even more attractive.
You bet.
And again, you might get your own Wonder Bread sack.
You might. We'll take as many as you want.
All right. Hey, thank you. Appreciate you coming by, Brent.
You're welcome.
And don't forget, next time you're here, I want pictures of the log cabin.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, the Gilcrease Museum is growing. We'll have more after this.